Hello everybody, Mannix here. I got a little knife review for you right here, right now. Feel free to support me on Patreon, link in the description. Feel free to subscribe. I make videos on guns and knives, all kinds of gear every week. This is going to be on the CJRB Pyrite. This knife's been pretty popular recently. It's been going around. There's a lot of different flavors of it, different blade styles, different colorations. This obviously is the all blackened version. A very popular one that's out is the all stainless. It's all in stonewash. Then they have a G10 handle scale version. Various colors, various flavors, etc. This is the one I went with. Really cool, simple, affordable, elegant, beautiful little knife. It's one of those knives that feels and looks higher quality than it really is. You can get these for anywhere from 50 to 60 bucks, depending on where you look. Simple, elegant, ball bearing, button lock knife. Very smooth. Again, very simple, very classy. Actually, I like it for being kind of an EDC pseudo-tactical blade. We're going to talk about that. Let me get the specs out of the way first. Blade length is 3.11 inches. The cutting edge is 2.8 inches. Blade thickness is 0.11 inches. Close length, or the handle length, is 4.2 inches. Handle thickness is 0.4 inches, making the overall length 7.3 inches. It is equipped with the AR-RPM 9 stainless steel. Flat grind drop point, weighs 3.7 ounces according to their specs. The pivot mechanism is a ceramic ball bearing. Probably a tie knife finish on here. Looks and feels like it, but I could be wrong. Button lock, dual thumb studs. Tip up carry only. That pocket clip is swappable to the left side, as you can see. Lanyard hole, pillar construction, good lockup, very, very little side to side. It's totally reasonable. No up and down. Very solid lockup, especially for a button lock. Retails at $66.65. Depending on what variation you get, I think they're all pretty sweet. I like the all metal. It's very elegant, very classy. I like how it's really fast. It's really smooth. We have a good lockup here. We have decent ergos. Carries very well. It's a loop over clip, and you can see it kind of protrudes past the handle right there, so it's nice and covert, nice and secure. The blade steel, the AR-RPM 9, newer steel, came out, I think, somewhere around early, maybe mid-2020. Doing a quick Google search, it's the most comparable to 9CR13 MOV, a lot of people claim. In my experience, it's a medium budget, friendly steel. It has good edge retention. It's not amazing. It's on the softer side, which means it at least will be easier to resharpen and touch up. It will roll over more than it will chip. That's an advantage to the softer steels. Again, it's not going to be a miracle steel or anything. It'll be close to AUS 8. AUS 8 is a very, very popular, very well-known, well-used steel across the budget-friendly folders. I'm saying anything below like the $60 range or so. So totally adequate blade steel right here. It's not a miracle steel or anything. This is a good, solid, budget-friendly blade steel for the money. Can't really complain too much with it. The whole thing this knife has going for it is simply the simple elegance, as I've said many, many times already. It's kind of vanilla, despite being a black knife. I guess you could say it's a chocolate knife, but it's very, very vanilla. It's very simple. There's no specific pattern here. There's no striations or designs anymore. It's just very, very simple. Ergos are comfortable. It's not melt in your hand or anything, but it's not uncomfortable. It's just a very, very simple design right here. Slightly rounded across all of the edges. Blade shape is nice. I like this kind of simple drop point. It's almost like a cheap Sebenza knockoff. It kind of looks like, but just very simple, very functional shape right here. Just good for all around EDC tasks. And it's not super small either. It's kind of on the smaller side, but it's not a small knife. I just call it a medium sized folder. We do have some jimping up here, but it's okay. It's kind of rounded, which is more comfortable, I guess, but it's less functional. So it is what it is. I'd rather have it there than not have it. I like the separate choil right here. We can choke up on it, although you are getting a little close to that cutting edge, so it's not fantastically executed, but it's not bad either. I like the button lock. I love button lock knives. They're just really fast, really simple. The big disadvantages to button locks is the fact that they're just not the most secure. They're not the strongest locking mechanisms. They're not the tightest. Yeah, that's true, but the advantage we get with it is the fact that it is going to make the knife a lot faster, a lot more simple. Fidget factor is there. And in this knife's philosophy of use, let's just say, for being just a simple, elegant EDC folder, it's actually perfect for that. We don't need this to have an extremely strong lockup or anything like that, because I don't think you're going to be using this knife for extremely hard tasks. It's just going to be a knife you keep on your person. You pull it out to cut a string off your shirt, open a package up, do some dinky little tasks like that, like we normally do with our knives, and put it away. That's all it's really for. And so for that philosophy of use, this locking mechanism is absolutely 110% perfect, I think. And on top of that, we have a very good lockup. So it's a flawlessly executed button lock as far as that goes. Ball bearing track, so it's extremely smooth. Carries like a dream, no problems with the pocket clip here. It's very simple. I like the design, or at least I don't mind it. I don't think it's beautiful looking or anything. It just looks like a standard pocket clip, but it's not goofy and weird or phallic looking like a lot of others are. So great job on the pocket clip there. Carries fine. Again, it's a loop over, protrudes out. Most people are into that. They like their covert pocket clips. Carries perfectly. Goes in the pocket just fine. Extracts out of the pocket just fine. Very fast deployment, good lockup. We have a decent blade steel for the money. We have good ergonomics here. It's comfortable enough. The knife's not really dinky or tiny, but it's not this giant, obnoxious, huge, heavy knife either. A little bit on the heavier side for being a knife of this size, but it is all metal. But speaking of which, we have a lot of milling work done inside of the handle scales. It's skeletonized. That's very rare. Usually you'll see skeletonized liners, but you won't see a skeletonized steel handled knife. But this time we do. It's aggressively hollowed out in there. See those triangular shapes. So really good job on that. They could not have made this any lighter for being an all-metal knife anyway. If you want an all-metal knife that's classy and smooth and sweet and slick, but you don't want it to bog you down too much, this is the knife for you. It's got that elegant factor there that a lot of other EDC knives don't have. Tactical use, it's not my first choice, but it's not going to be bad either. Again, we have some jimping at least, and the grip's going to be good enough, and we have a really fast deployment on here and a good enough lockup, even though it's not optimal. It's not the greatest knife ever for that. This is not the first knife I would pick for defense. But if it's all you had, I think it would be just fine. Just got to be careful, get used to deploying it, use that pocket clip as a brace so it doesn't fly out of your hands when you're trying to deploy the blade after extracting it out of your pocket, if it also did not fly out of your hands when you did that. So for the $50-$55 range, you really can't go wrong with this. There's some knives out there you can get that will perform a little bit better, that'll be a little bit bigger, that'll have a little bit more to hold on to, that will be a little bit more textured. The blade steel, you're not going to get something too much better than this for that price point. Yeah, you might get AUS 10 or something, but it's still kind of comparable. It's not that much of an upgrade or anything, and it is debatable. But this knife really isn't bad for the money. It's totally reasonable. It's totally usable. If you want that elegance, you know, that beautiful sexiness kind of factor, that's what this knife kind of has going for it. So that's kind of what you're paying for. Again, you could get a more useful knife for about the same price, but it won't be this classy, you know, it won't be this elegant, this beautiful. The blackened variation of this knife especially makes me think of something like a spy would have, you know, a secret agent would carry on their person or something. You know, it's just kind of simple, beautiful, classy, elegant, cool knife, and it's usable enough. You know, it's not so obnoxiously elegant to the point that it's useless, you know, but it's not so aggressively textured and so big and obnoxious in that way either. It's right in kind of the sweet spot, but just geared a little bit more towards the elegant, beautiful side. It'll make it maybe a nice lady's knife. It's a knife you take to a wedding, maybe, you know, a more fancy occasion. I'm a huge fan. I've played with this knife so much, a lot more than many of the other folders I have, just because that fidget factor is just there. It's so smooth, so fun to play with. And again, on top of it, it is functional. It's not just a gimmicky toy or anything like that. It actually is a totally functional folder. But again, when you get this thing, don't be surprised. You're like, oh man, I wish it was textured. Yeah, it's not really intended to be a textured, aggressive, tactical blade. It's just supposed to be an elegant little folder. So it could not have been executed better, other than the fact that I wish it had a rounded spine. No rounded spine on here. Oh man, it was so close. If they rounded the spine, oh, it would be so gorgeous. But they didn't. Oh well, not a big deal. It's just an aesthetic thing anyway. Who cares? Thumb sets are perfect, by the way. Cylindrical, tapered slightly at the top. So medium length, medium weight, medium quality blade steel. Very medium, very vanilla knife right here. Totally worth the price point. Absolutely am in love with these pyrites. For the money, you really can't go wrong if you want something just a little bit classier than what you're normally used to. So anyway, that is it. The CJRB Pyrite.